Hello fellow Techers, Space Bandit here with another episode of World of Tanks, and today we're gonna show you a couple of games that represent what this game is really all about if you play it right, if you play it correctly with your teammates or using your teammates to your advantage. So we're gonna have two games for you today. The first game will be an Object 279E Tier 10 Soviet heavy tank, and second game will be in a Conqueror Tier 9 British medium tank. Now, the key in both games will be TD support. TD support and you having some armor, or in this case, me having some armor, and trying to bait the opposition into shooting us, as well as providing spots to our TDs that are sitting behind and supporting us. Now, first of all, in situations like this, it's a recognition as to what you have with you and whether you can push up further or not. In both cases, in both games, I won't be able to push up because I just don't have enough friendlies with me. And in some cases, especially if you have a tank with a lot of armor, you put yourself in position where you really have no escape. There is point of no return because obviously you're too slow to run away from a situation. Although Object 279 has some mobility and I would be able to run off. But in this case, because of the fact that I have ridiculous armor, I know how to angle this tank really well, and I do have two TDs. If you look at the map, area A1 and area D3, there are two TDs behind me ready for cover fire, right? So one is the Waffle, Tier 9 Waffle, the other one is the Death Star. Two big guns, although Death Star is much bigger gun. And we're gonna be stuck in a position where there's a lot of enemy tanks approaching us. And at this point I was thinking, okay, you know what, this is not going to go well. But if you have relatively decent players on your team, players that know where to penetrate the tanks and actually shoot the tanks that you're spotting, you might be surprised how the game's gonna turn out. So, as you notice here, I'm gonna be calling for help almost all the time, just to show my TDs that I know what I'm doing, right? If I keep on calling for help, that means I know that I'm outnumbered here and there's no way I'm going to push. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my strong front plate and my turret armor to just keep poking and delaying the inevitable, delaying the fact that the opposition might actually flank me at some point from the right hand side. And I know it is coming, but on this map opposition doesn't like to flank from the middle because usually there's a lot of snipers in the middle of the map. Now take a look at the Skoda. He thought he could just come in here and clip me out, but he loses all of his HP. He doesn't even pen me once because he was shooting standard rounds instead of his heat rounds. And at this angle, the way I was presenting it to him, it's really hard to penetrate Object 279 unless you're in like TD shooting heat rounds with a lot of penetration. So now we're gonna move up because I don't see anybody else here. We're gonna try to shoot at this T95 FV4201, but I have really no shot except that Cupola shot, so we're gonna put that shot on this Cupola and then we're gonna drop. Now Centurion AX comes up. Centurion AX is dangerous because his heat rounds will be able to go through me, through the upper plate from that angle. So I'm a little bit worried, especially from the position that he's in. But I'm still hoping that my TDs are supporting me. So I'm gonna keep doing the same thing and just poking up and spotting them. Now we're gonna try to track him. Unfortunately, that didn't come out. I thought I was gonna be able to track him there, but I think I might have went for damaging hit, to be honest. I don't know. But now that the AX dropped off and we have lower plate shot into this Valor, we're just gonna punish him and put shells into his lower plate. Now I'm getting shot from right hand side and from the left hand side, so we're gonna have to pick the battle. So I decided to turn around and focus this T54 lightweight because I was hoping that my turret might be bouncing some of the shots from the AX possibly, but the AX gets taken out anyway, and T54, he should have went right behind me and started shooting me. I don't know what the hell he was doing. I think maybe he was going after the RD. I don't know. But now we're gonna turn around and face this Valor, and he bounces his shell, then he gets taken out by my TD, and this is pretty much game over. Because we sent most of our tanks to the other side of the map. We easily won the other side, and we held this side. We held it really, really well. Like I said, me being the bait, being the spotter for the team, and two big guns sitting in the back, pretty much cleaned up the entire side of the map. It was pretty much the three of us that did most of the work on this side. While tier 10s that were on the other side of the map, they easily won the other side. So yeah, I mean, this game exemplifies exactly how to play. Let's say if you're in a platoon, let's say you have a heavy armor tank and you go up to the ridgeline to spot and you have 2 TDs sitting in the back. I mean, the way we played it here in this game, the TD positioning that you saw here plus my positioning would be perfect for a platoon play if you have like 2 TDs and a heavy tank, so that you can create crossfires and create a situation where the opposition just falls into a trap. Now take a look at the post-game results. We had 4,000 damage, 3,400 assisted damage, and almost 5,000 damage blocked. But if you total all these numbers, that's like over 12,000 combined, because I got over 4,000 induced damage, 3,400 assisted, and 5,000 blocked. So a lot of damage blocked, plus I contributed in assisted damage for my TDs, plus I even managed to put some shells into the tanks that were cresting the ridgeline and brought my damage number over 4,000, which isn't bad at all. I mean, that's relatively good game in this tank. Anyway, let's skip to the second game, and in there we're gonna show you similar situation on map Hellbron. Okay, so we're on map Hellbron. We were drawn on the north spawn over here, and in this game I'm actually on my son's account, so don't mind that, it's still me playing. And here what we're gonna do is, this is a tier 10 game. There's one already in play, and there's multiple things I could have done on this map. I could have went to C0 and snipe from there. I could have went into the middle, into location E5, and try to walk through there, but I decided to go to town, and that was just a decision that I made right away. But I was going to see how many tanks come with me, because if you go to town, usually it'd be good to have at least a couple of tanks with you. If you're just by yourself, you're definitely going to die, because opposition is always bringing some tanks into town. In every game that I played on this map, there's always someone going into town. It's usually heavy tanks. So I started going into the town area right here, but then I realized that there isn't really many tanks coming with me. Actually, everyone's staying on the east side of the map, and the only tank coming with me is the Super Conqueror. And I'm glad it's a Super Conqueror, because if it wasn't Super Conqueror, I would probably turn around and I would probably stick around with the greenies. But in this situation, I pretty much told them, okay, well, I'm gonna shoot him in the ass here. I'm gonna say GG, because I knew we were gonna die. Like, at this point I knew we were gonna die. It's just a matter of how much damage we're gonna get. Are we able to stop the opposition from coming through here? I mean, the only scenario where we don't die is if we run into maybe 2 tanks from the opposition and we're able to hold them in there and possibly survive. But let's see what happens here. This is going to be quite interesting game, to be honest, because we're going to be 2 versus many tanks, guys. It's going to be at least 2v6, I would say, at least 2v6. And TD support is not going to come in until later, but I will point it out because there is a TD guy that's currently at C0, I believe, and he's going to relocate in order to help us, which was a really good play by him, and I really appreciate that. He's going to end up in position A6 and support us here. But before we get there, we're going to come up into the town right here. We're going to see if we can spot anybody. We can't spot anybody over here, but we see this object 279 just booting it. And if he's just booting it, we already know that he's probably not by himself. So we're going to track him right there, and now we're going to work our gun depression. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to switch to APCR rounds or premium rounds because we need to be able to go through him. Now, I don't know how he pinned me there. He probably went right through the turret with his heat rounds, and that's possible because even though Conqueror's turret armor is pretty good, you can actually pen it in the areas close to the gun mantle. Anyway, I'm calling for help over here because I know I have a friendly and he can actually help me here, so we can pretty much outgun this object 279 if I get some help. And luckily my friendly comes to help, which is fantastic. So we're gonna keep putting shells into this object, but I'm waiting for proper opportunity to shoot because I know that object 279's armor is so troll, and I already bounced 1 shell. I don't want to be bouncing any more off of him, but he plays it right. He backs off, so I don't have any more shots at him, and my friendly should take care of him, and he does, which is fantastic. So 1 tank down. Let's see how many more are gonna be here. So we're gonna poke this corner again just to see what's happening. I don't see anything coming up, and at this point I think I'm gonna tell my Super Conk to drop because I have a feeling there's a lot more than we see over here, so I just told him to drop over here, and he's gonna relocate to my position. At the same time, something gets spotted behind me, and I just noticed that here, and it's a standard B. Ooh, not good. So we're gonna put a shell into him. Our Super Conqueror came back to help, so he's gonna put a shell into him as well. And now we're gonna turn around, and we're gonna attack this standard B. We're gonna try to take him out of the game. With 2 guns, that shouldn't be a problem. And yes, we take him out of the game. Now we're gonna turn around because we have a feeling something is coming from the west. And of course, here we go. It's the Jagdpanzer E100, and that's going to be trouble because that's a big gun. Then you have the E100 that just showed up. That's a big gun. And at this point, if you look at the map, you can see that RTD is actually relocating right now. Right there on top, A6. He just relocated to A6, and that's key in this situation because he's gonna have shots into these guys. So we put a shell into the C100. He charges our Super Conqueror, but we're gonna try to track him right here, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna track him, and now Super Conqueror should be able to put shells into him. Unfortunately, E100 repairs, so he backs off. But now we see this Yak Tiger, yet another tank, tier 9 with very big gun. So we're gonna start putting shells into him, and we're gonna keep punishing these guys. At the same time, RTD is gonna provide some firepower from area A5 where he's at right now, so he'll be shooting these guys as well. One mistake that I made over here, I probably should have tracked the Jagdpanzer E100 so that he doesn't kill my Super Conqueror. Unfortunately, he does kill my Super Conqueror right there, but I know he's on a reload now, so we're gonna keep putting shells into him while our TD is concentrating fire on the E100. So yeah, I'm gonna keep firing at this Jagdpanzer E100. At the same time, the E100 comes out and he gets shot down by RTD. And now it's just this Jagdpanzer E100 that we need to take care of. So we're gonna use E100's wreck to kind of hide and bait a shot from Jagdpanzer E100. RTD still has shots at him as well from the position he's in. So I'm just gonna keep baiting those shots. And he tracks me, so we're gonna use our repair kit. And now we should have him pretty much because our rate of fire should be able to easily take him out of the game before he can reload. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put a shell into his lower plate. We're gonna say GG because our friendly Super Conqueror played awesome. Props to RTD for supporting us right here. And the Artie is also in town and he almost took us out. Luckily, we just poked the corner without really exposing. And I probably should have pushed him earlier here so that we can get additional shots of damage. But unfortunately, he gets taken out by our artillery. And we complete this game with a win. So let's quickly take a look at the post-game stats. We had a really good game in a Conqueror, but that wouldn't be a good game if we didn't have our Super Conqueror with us and if the TD wasn't supporting us. We ended up with 5.3k damage, 17 penetrating hits. Also had some assisted damage. We finished with Mastery Ace Tanker for this game. We also finished on top of the team with 1825 base XP. Our Super Conqueror friend finished second with 1280 base XP. And our TD friend, which actually turned out to be Burn This Taco, who's my sub, but at that point he didn't know that I was the one playing in this game. Anyway, he finished in 7th spot, but the key thing there was that he actually supported us when needed. Yeah, fantastic play by him for being there and supporting us when we really needed it. Anyway, shoutouts to Burn This Taco. Sorry, dude, I didn't know it was you in this replay until I actually looked at post-game results. So thanks for supporting us in this situation. Anyway, guys, so yeah, just a couple of games to show you how it is beneficial to have TD supporting you in certain situations, especially if you have some armor that you can fight with and bait opposition over the ridgelines, or in this situation, bait opposition out of town to get them exposed into the open field so that your TDs have shots at them. Especially if you play in a platoon, if you're in 2-man or 3-man platoons, if you choose to go with a heavy tank and couple TDs, or the other way around with 2 heavy tanks and a TD, any of those strategies would be beneficial. Optionally, you can always have a medium tank with a decent armor and then have TDs sitting in the back sniping. That is also a viable option. But hopefully those 2 replays will show you roughly what I was trying to relay in this video. At the same time, in both games you've seen a couple of positions, decent positions, which you can work with your teammates. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. That's it for now. Until next time, happy tanking, Space Bandit, checking out.